emotions because people are really dying, people are in pain. The psychology of people is not balanced, and I want to say that this psychology of war is not really good for our people because it's causing a lot of psychosocial dissonance in the mind of people, fear, stress, depression. And I want to say that war propagandists, they use this kind of method to make people be afraid, to be scared, and so on, to stay indoors. And you see, the more day goes down of a thing, many people have been using it in different countries, and I want to say that even in Nigeria, it's still being practiced. We just need to be prudent.
Okay, we just need to be prudent. When you received the news of this heinous attack, where were you at the time?
I think that yesterday I came down to Moliko, but I went back. But in the evening I learned of this. I learned of that many gunshots, and I want to say that, madam, my neighbors were really in panic because their children. People were really in panic. People were calling me, "Am I safe? Am I home?" and so on, because I'm always up and down. I want to say that it brought panic in the minds of many people. We could see the videos that people were taking, and the neighborhoods. That panic was really there, and I want to say that this is to instill panic in people, that fear in people, that dissonance in people, that emotion, uneasiness in people. And I want to say that this is a psychological issue. In psychology of war, it's very, very important we understand this, because they want to make sure that government should understand that the war has not yet ended, and it's a kind of guerrilla warfare. And in guerrilla warfare, they come and hit and they run away. And I want to say that they want to instill fear on people. And if you look at Buea in recent times, you know the ambience have been there. People have been opening their shops, people have been doing their businesses in Buea in recent time as before. When the late mayor was there, he tried his best, and recently you see that the administrators have said people should open their doors, their stores, or they pay penalties. And I want to say that in psychology of war, the Amazonians, they want to instill fear on people. And I think that this fear, especially the killing of somebody yesterday, it will make many people to stay indoors on Monday, madam. And I want to say that it's not really healthy, because this has caused a lot of mental havoc in the minds of many people. If it has caused a lot of mental havoc in the minds of children, in the minds of elderly persons, and so on, madam. And I want to say that no place in Buea is safe. And if people could shoot guns in the middle of Buea, in the main town of Buea, in Checkpoint and other places, madam, I want to say that
no place
is yet safe in Buea, and we have to be more prudent. And what I'm talking now is the issue of self-defense, because I'll ask myself, where were the military, where were the police? Because now you see them moving with their armored cars up and down every day. I want to say that if you go detailedly, you go to Bitingi, you will see that they have a base there. And I want to say that I want to ask myself, where were the police?
It can't be everywhere.
No, please listen to me. I'm the one talking, please. I want to say that it is very, very important, because we have to protect ourselves. Self-defense is very, very important, because if you look at it democratically, if you look at demography, you understand that the population is more than the security men. So now you have to look for self-defense mechanism. Defense mechanism is.
Let me shush you a little, doctor. When you talk about self-defense mechanism, to an ordinary man, would you want to say that precautions, stay indoors?
Yes, they should stay indoors. On Monday, stay indoor.
But you said you were out on Monday.
I was out, but please listen, please. We have to be civilized, please. When we're talking, one person should talk, and then you take the break. So what I'm trying to say is that it is very, very important. Self-defense is very, very important. You can't advocate for children to go on the street and be selling Modi.
Okay, but then you just mentioned that you were on the street.
I was on the street. It doesn't mean that I should not encourage people to go and die, please. I will not encourage people to go and die, because I know.
No proof to go on the street.
Please, you're not.
Let him land. I'm coming to you.
Compose yourself. Right. Be gentle. So I want to say that self-defense is very important. Though we are condemning the act is not good. It's to instill fear, it's to instill panic, it's to instill that psychosocial dissonance in the mind of people,
in society,
that disbelief in the minds of people. So I want to say that they have done that, and there's fear, there's that fight, whether I like it or not. If you interview people today, you will see that they have been scared. They knew that Buea was already stable. There's instability in Buea, and there's a lot of emotional instability. What we should be preaching to, because I know that we need the ambience of Monday, but we need to be prudent, whether we like it or not. Self-defense is very, very important. Sometimes you go to Sosoliso, the ambience there at late at night, people are there drinking. I'm telling you, these boys psychosocially, if you look at their minds, I'm talking like a psychology, their minds are not the same, are not rational.
We have every right to drink every day.
Okay, while
we reserve every right to drink.
You have been struggling to get the microphone.
We just have to be constructive.
But then again,
Madam,
and
please,
then I'm the moderator.
I was talking. I didn't learn. Please, we just have to be constructive here.
Fine, doctor, please have your land.
Responsible here, please.
It's fine. Get a peaceful landing.
Okay, what I'm saying in nutshell is that we have to condemn the act. It's really bad. It's abominable. I think that it's a struggle that these people have been struggling. And in early 2017, the people were with them. In recent time, you cannot be fighting for a struggle. You are still killing the same people.
That's standing for you.
You're supposed to be protecting these people. In the early days in 2017, in October 1st, you saw how people came out here in Buea in their numbers. And I want to say that in the early days, when late Nijon Fundi came out here, some of us were there at Mountain Hotel up there at Parliamentary Flat. We came down to Checkpoint, and the SDF preached their message of peace and federation. And you saw the mammoth car that came out at that time. But I will tell you, if you put a rating scale today of strongly agree and disagree, the number of followers of these same Ambazonians have greatly reduced because of the pain, because of the anarchy they have caused in people. We have seen where they put people sit in Batibo, in Guza, and shoot people with bullets. We have seen where they shoot. You are fighting a battle with the military. You are instead shooting
civilians. How are civilians caught in the
So what I'm saying is that whether we like it or not, when two people are fighting, civilians will suffer the effect. But we cannot sit on air and encourage people. People have to be prudent. They have to be mindful. Mindfulness is very, very important. And there are some places in war zones that you know that they are dangerous zones. We have to be careful the places we go. We have to be careful. We have to stop late nights. It is very, very important. Though we are pushing for peace and we are pushing for stability in Cameroon, we also have to educate our people to be self-defense, for precautions. It is very, very important. Like the other panelists is saying, people have the right to be drinking every day. We have to be responsible citizens. They are not refusing that you should not drink. But I think that we need to have a culture of responsibility. We have to be responsible. But I want to greatly condemn the killing and the destruction and the burning of cars. It doesn't solve the Anglophone problem, madam. President Paul Biya and his cohorts are in Yaoundé. If you want to fight the state, go and fight His Excellency President Paul Biya. That's the issue we are saying here. You cannot be fighting a common man who is armless. So what we are saying is that the head of state is there. His Excellency President Paul Biya is there. The Prime Minister, head of government is there. The state ministers are there. The governors are there. And I want to say that whether we like it or not, Cameroon still remains Cameroon. And the truth is that Cameroon is a country of law. Cameroon is a country that has institutions. And we have to be looking for solutions, not causing more harm on people. So
Doctor, I'm going to be coming to you.
I want to land by saying that it was really an anarchy. And I want to plead on the denizens of Buea. We have to be really prudent. We have to be prudent. We have to be mindful. And the security, the state security, they have been doing their best. Because if you look at Buea, it's becoming a bit stable. I want to say that they are doing their best, but we have to join our hands to work with the state security so that we can bring peace.
Fine, and of course, that is not your final word, Doctor, because we are going to be visiting you any moment from now. But then again, while the young journalists there seems to be a lot of anger in your chest, maybe because of the facts that you've gathered. But then I think we should maintain some level of decorum on the panel. Over to you, Mr. Lionel. What degree of investigations have you done? And do you think that it is necessary for the separatists to have come out rightly in this manner that they did, just because they want to impose and push the degree to which ghost towns should be respected or ought to be respected?
No matter what they do, they are seeking for ways to exercise authority on the people in the Anglophone extraction of Cameroon. They don't have any legitimacy to do that. So we have to do the best we can to ensure that this doesn't happen. We have to exercise in every effort to ensure we are a people who deserve to live in freedom, in peace, and to choose our destinies. So we have to work together to ensure that this barbaric act should desist from happening.
Now, but over to the question, do you think that the way the separatists went about it, because in one of the videos circulating social media, pages and forums, they were talking about the reinforcement of ghost towns. Do you think that this is actually the right way that they should have gone, or maybe there would have been a better way out, if at all it is at all necessary?
The point is, people talk about an Anglophone crisis, but to me, I think the crisis died 2019. And what we have now is because if we start respecting ghost town, we are creating an enabling environment for the terroristic activities to flourish in Fako. So I think we have to rise as a people, challenge them, and tell them that we reserve every right to get on our businesses on Monday, as every other part of Cameroon are doing. Yeah. Why should we stop ourselves in the houses on Monday? Why should we do that?
But Dr. here is talking about precaution. Don't you think, regardless of what ought to be, but there should be a certain degree of precaution, just
the
like he's saying?
are trying to plant fear on our minds. And we have to do the best we can to break this fear. And we have to be out there getting on with our normal activities or daily routine like
Okay, so breaking the fear means you give yourself in harm's way?
No harms. If we come out together on Monday and say we don't recognize ghost town, it's gonna work. We don't recognize ghost town, go out there, carry on your activities, then we improve our security measures. Like we have to install street lights in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. So the mayor has to do something about this. To install street light and then improve on the security situation of the city of Buea.
Thank you so much. One of the panelists, Mr. Njiluka, said they are trying to instill fear. Do you think, in categorical terms, that this transits beyond just trying to instill normal fear? Loosely borrowing from the words of Dr. Busi, do you think this has crossed the borders of just trying to instill normal fear and it's something else?
Well, looking at the situation of yesterday, I don't think they were out to cause the people to be afraid of who they are. They meant every single act they carried out yesterday. It was not some form of deterrent. I think if it were to be a form of deterrent, then certainly they could have used perhaps the gunshots in the air, which of course when you hear the gunshot and get the messages, because they did take themselves on camera, they filmed themselves, and the videos are circulating on social media, wherein you could hear them professing, we are the children of a certain General Sagat, and we have come to assert, I'm only paraphrasing right now, we have come to assert the Monday ghost towns, and we are calling on everyone to respect it. And those who do not respect it, be rest assured that this is what is going to happen to you. As a human rights defender, I want to say that we have freedom of movement, and it is enshrined in our constitution. It is a law in our country, which of course it should be respected by both parties. And if for some reasons they thought that taking away civilian life is going to cause the people to be afraid, then I think this is indeed acting it is actually contravening the law that governs armed conflict. We cannot refuse that it is an armed conflict. And the aspect of people being cautious, of course, to everyone must not be rolled out. To call on the people to be cautious, to call on the people to be more aware. It is a guerrilla war, and such asymmetric war usually is very difficult for unarmed people to not be in harm's way. In what sense? the time in which these people will come out. The difference with this current guerrilla war, armed conflict in the Anglophone zones of the Cameroon region or Cameroon Republic is there is a particular period and date designated by the armed carriers, in this case the separatists. The separatists have designated some particular days, and they believe that these days are to express, these days are a symbol that something is not okay. They think that it is a day which they have designated to let the world know that.
Let me
they
rush you
are
a
in
little,
control.
Mr. Lucas. You are talking about freedom, and I think that freedom at this point is something that we really need to put our fangs on. And can we stretch a little bit the freedom that you're talking about? Now, this is us. The Constitution is talking about freedom of movement, and we all understand that. But in a time where we are living in peril, do you think that this freedom should be guarded? This is what is supposed to be versus the realities on ground. So how do you come to a compromise?
We will not rule out what is on the ground. I said it yesterday that their commanders should go and study the law governing war.
Okay. The separatist commanders.
Yes, the law governing war has certain rules, and these rules are irrespective of what kind of war. Now, in every armed conflict, there are a category of people you have to protect: women, children, mosque, hospital, churches, schools,
journalists,
the elderly, and persons who are not involved in the conflict. That is, in a situation like this, if they felt that these persons were indeed violating a rule that they have on the ground, I think it was only enough that they maybe in their own term, whether they are kidnapping or whether they are arresting or whether they are holding, whether they are remanding the persons whom they have actually identified that they are contravening or violating the laws that they have on the ground, to bring them to order. Now, what is most important is for us to also look at the possibilities and how it was able or possible for they to come in and execute such heinous plan or crime that was actually perpetrated on the people. Now, my major concern isn't the issue of the separatists coming out and telling people not to move out on Monday.
Then what
my major concern is their inlet and their outlet into the area where this operation took place. Now, if you were to look at Boya, for those who know Boya, you would have noticed that if you move down to a certain mine center around the Buitingi market, that's the Boya Central Market, there is a road leading to Moya, and within that particular area we have the police check, which most drivers who have applied that route in most occasions will testify, like we get them every day testifying on radio that they are being extorted upon by the military in that environment and the police officers in that same environment. So these are questions which leaves everyone wondering, why is it possible for these guys to come into that particular end, and what caused them to execute their plan?
I think that's a rhetorical question, but before we get to it, Dr. Busi, I hear you talk about civilians are the target and precaution. So if there are two things that should be amplified in the on this program is how to take precautions and the freedom and civilians being the target. Why are civilians the target in this guerrilla warfare?
Whether you like it or not, the masses are the ones suffering this. And if you look at the government, especially those in governance, they have a lot of security, and they think that when they do their when this affect the common man, the government will take action.
Okay.
That's what they think. If you go to all these war countries, Syria, Palestine, and so on, you see that the civilians are the ones suffering with the atrocities, and the common man. You see children, you see the young girls, you see young people suffering, elderly ones are the ones suffering because they think that government will take action because the government is responsible for their welfare. It's the government because they are the one who elected the government and put in place. So the people elected His Excellency President Paul Biya. It is his responsibility to protect them and their properties. But I want to look at, when Mr. Nji talk about the issue of fear, that's not important. I want to say that fear is still very important because they know that the people of Buea, they have been feeling they are too free to afford, and they want to instill fear, whether I like it or not. What happened yesterday, if they ask you to pass them, you will not pass them because of the fear factor, whether I like it or not. And there's what we call in psychology war trauma, and this war trauma is what the people are suffering now, and the Ambazonians are making the people to suffer what they call the war trauma.
But don't you think it's time when you choke somebody too much, you press them against the wall, at a certain time they want to retaliate?
But the people want to retaliate, and they are retaliating in some of the villages. The people in some of the villages, they don't want to see these boys again. I will tell you that, madam, in my village in Bafut, some of these Ambazonian guys cause a lot of atrocity to their parents, and I want to say that most of them have passed away. They are no more there in the village, and life is going there normal. In Bafut, that Bafut was not a go zone. It was a no-go zone. But today I want to tell you that the people are going to Bafut for funerals and coming back for occasions and coming back. Times are changing. As times are passing, the mindset of people also, they are changing. I want to say that these people, these Ambazonian guys, these Amba boys, they want to cause what they call mental distress. And this mental distress will lead to depression. It has only led.
But the law caused it in 2016 when all of those things.
Yes.
Started. So I think
I want to say that in guerrilla warfare, and if you look at the kind of conflict we are facing today, it's called, in conflict resolution, it's called intergroup conflict, because they are fighting within different ethnic groups, and it's difficult for this kind of war to easily end.
By ethnic groups, what do you mean? Is it?
I'm saying that those in Buea are fighting here in Buea. Those in Batibo are fighting in Batibo, and some people will leave Batibo to go and join people in Bafut to fight. And the military cannot be there all the time, and the military might not understand the terrain very well. So it is very, very difficult. Go to the BLM, it's very enclave, and the people understand the geopolitical zone. It will be very difficult for the military to penetrate and end the war.
Okay, since you brought the aspect of military, of military, the military or the police barrack is just about how many kilometers away from where that gory scene took place. So why was there no intervention? The only intervention we saw or we got was from Moja Moja, which we are going to be analyzing it later.
Madam, let us be frank here. Whether I like it or not, the military have tried. And sometimes too, they are human beings like us. They are human beings like us. That's why we say it's a guerrilla warfare. They come, they do their act, they disappear. And then the military, you always see the military later on.
By the military have tried, do you mean Moja Moja?
No, I'm saying the military. Who told you that the military did not come there? Who told you? There is the commissioner here in Muliko, the police here in Muliko, they were there. They were there later on. So I want to say that it's a guerrilla warfare. And I want to say that what has happened, we call it's a kind of post-traumatic stress that they are causing on people. And this post-traumatic stress is to bring about some kind of mental flashback in the minds of people to understand that if you go out, you can either be killed or your properties can be burned, to instill fear in the people. And this mental flashback brings a lot of pain in the mindset of people. I here seated here, I'm not happy with that, because when I saw the burning of the cars, do you think that emotionally I would like to go out with my own car on Monday? It still fears me. It just needs courage. But nevertheless, we have to be courageous to end this crisis, whether we like it or not, because all these barbaric acts will not continue forever. But can the common man end the crisis? Because in psychology of war and in trauma war, we cannot be talking about atrocity alone. There's also psychology of peace. How can we instill peace in people? I want to say that at first, madam, our government officials, they used to use harsh words. But recently, you hardly see a minister of communication coming out and using harsh words. You hardly see a governor coming out to say harsh words. You hardly see the president coming out. When you listen to the speeches, the speech of last year and the others, you will see the difference. Meaning that there's what we call in psychology soft reprimands. Government they understand their communication too, because communication in times of crisis matter. But I want to say that, can we end the crisis? community-wise we can try, but we cannot end it because
we are going to be looking at
community-wise we cannot end it because we know who can end the crisis and we know where the solution can come
I think
from.
it's about.
So I want to say that
that.
I want to say that what is happening now is to cause mental distress, fear, panic, nervous, psychological nervousness, to make people nervous, so that all this will affect their mental health. That will lead to post-traumatic stress, so that they will not, so that the guys will know that they are the one ruling the people. But for now, we know that there's the government of Cameroon that rules the country.
Okay.
But in some places, whether we like it or not, the Ambas, they have already, the people fear them, and they are the one who, they have their own small courts. They have the, when you do something that is not good for them, they judge you in their own. But we want to ask ourselves, we will see our younger brothers who have not gone to school, they are not educated, they don't have institution, they come out to judge us, they come out to sanction us, they tell us not to go to our villages, they disrespect their funds, they disrespect authorities. It will never be like that.
Okay.
I want to say that even Ambazonians were to take the governance system of the country today, it will not be a governance system of atrocity, of pain, because their pain is really
Doctor,
too much.
We are not going to turn,
their pain is really too much.
We are not going to turn a blind eye to what you just said. Lionel, you know, just paraphrasing what Doctor said, he said a lot of rich points, and I think we should articulate on it a little bit. The community cannot stop what is happening. Do you agree with that? Because I know indefinite.
No, I said the community can try,
okay,
but it cannot be sustainable.
Do you agree with that, considering or cognizance that you've been somebody who believes so much in the community and you think community can work hand in hand with government? Do you stand to refute what Dr. Busi has said?
Maybe I still have a vivid recollection of a certain video that was diffused on the social media space by Seseko Ayoktabe, when he said they were coming to Boya, UN troop, to hoist the Ambazonian flag, and they encouraged all the youth to come out in their numbers. They even assured us with absolute certainty that the UN troops were going to be stationed both on land and at the air to ensure that no protester will be hurt. A people that have been marginalized, subjugated, assimilated, who have seen they have gone through all kinds of suffering. They were so excited. They felt like it was the beginning of a new day for them. People came out, mothers, children, and then some of them were greeted by bullets. Out of anger, a few youths pick up arms to attack the government of state military and stuff like that. That was the beginning of our nightmare. At the initial stage, people were racing, people were throwing all kinds of accolades on them. The hero worship them. They call it our heroes, all these things encourage them. We encourage them. And then we help a terrorist group to grow in our region, and today they are our greatest nightmare. They've been killing, they've been destroying, they've been raping, they've been causing all kinds of heinous activities.
All of that we
and it's time the community have to rise up as one and pronounce against the activities and say we don't want to identify.
What's the way to go? What's the way to go? The community have to rise to rule out this.
Do you know why we have peace in Boya? Because from the very beginning, the Bakweman pronounced against the Amber Boys.
By Bakweman, are you looking at the entire?
That's why we don't have the Boya.
Patrick.
Yes, Ekema Patrick actually instilled that courage and bravery in us. We have to be gallant. We have to stand up for our land, fight against terrorism and insurgency. That's why Boya is peaceful. But I mean, that's not peaceful. Why? Because the people they embrace, they pamper the Amber Boys, they are close. No hate speech. Now the people have realized that these people are the architect of our nightmares. But now they can't push them away because they are so close to them. Boya is free today because the people of Boya say we don't want the Amber Boys.
That they are so close to them? I mean, these are the people who are getting or bearing the brunt of what is happening.
When the Amber Boys said we don't want to see anybody outside in Bamenda, the street will be deserted. But in Boya we come out. We don't recognize them. They cannot exercise any authority over us. They are terrorists.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
That's his speech, Madam Penimi. When we sit on earlier, we want to preach peace. And when we start,
no, you attach emotion.
Please,
situation where we should apply a true way of objectivity.
When we sit to talk rational issues here, I think that we should stop some xenophobic and hate speech.
But do you find that
No, it's not. They are terrorists. They are terrorists. They are.
Please.
Let me make
I think
a
that
point.
Anybody using war to advance a political motive is a terrorist.
This is my set, and I have the right to
I
bring
think that
you out of my
we need
set.
to be rational.
This is my set. I have the right to bring you out.
We
Just catch your
need
breath.
to be rational, as Rene Descartes said.
Okay,
We
thank
need
you,
to be
doctor. Make your point.
Rene,
I mean,
yes.
if he has contrary perception, he's going to be
Rene
okay.
Descartes said we have to be really rational. We want an end to this crisis, whether we like it or not. And we should stop the issue of tribalism, because that's what is killing this country. The cankerworm that's killing.
But do you
Cameroon is
think that was
tribalism.
tribalistic?
But I want to say that.
I come from Batman.
Listen. I want to say that, madam, what he's saying to an extent is right. If each ethnic group wants to stop this, they will stop. But I want to say that in Buea, if Buea is the way it is today, you cannot say that Buea is a cosmopolitan environment.
True.
And I want to say that looking at the cosmopolitan environment of Buea, Limbe too is a bit peaceful, because Buea, madam, whether I like it or not, Buea is the headquarter of the southwest region, and you will see that this level of security here in Buea is different, like the level of security in Kwakwa, in Kwakwa, in one village in Kwakwa. I want to say that, madam, whether I like it or not, the time of comparing Bamenda and the Southwest has passed. We need lasting solution. We should be looking for lasting solution. Don't say that Bamenda is like this or Buea is like this. It's time for us to call a spade and solve the problem.
The time while Mr. Leonard is catching his breath with the anger, we know that this is desperate time.
There's no anger in this
issue. Have you lost a brother in this war?
Analysis.
My brother was shot in Batibo. My biological brother was shot in Batibo.
You may not have lost somebody who is a close relative, but
everybody have lost, and all of us are suffering the consequences of the war.
When you have lost a brother, your perception of the Amber Boys will change.
Catch your breath, Mr. Lionel. This is the point when
really have to be responsible.
A civil society comes in. Civil society, this is a point where we are looking at community. What role have they to play? It seems like a rhetorical question, but yet it's a big puzzle and a complex one at that. As civil society, somebody who has been observant, you follow this war and you've been on political platforms like this. What do you think we should do to stop reanimating this war as a community?
The question is, how do you pick out the animation from the community in the course of things? Did you find any way the community involved in this? Did you see the respective communities from the moment they began facing the brunt of the separatists, the non-state armed groups, the Amber Boys as fondly called? Where did you find the communities involved in things? In times of conflict, we teach the communities safety measures. Firstly, you have to understand that in an armed conflict, if you do not want to be caught by any of the party involved in the armed conflict, do not get involved by any means in the armed conflict. That is, do not be a spy, do not be a communicator, do not by any means take part in any of the hostility in any of the area at any time. And when we talk about the community, I want us to look at it within the context of the situation of yesterday, the sad situation that happened yesterday.
Checkpoints specifically.
Now we are saying that these guys came out, they had Kalashnikov and other brands of automatic firearms.
What's Kalashnikov? Whatever thing.
Kalashnikov is the name of a particular rifle or a gun.
Okay.
Now, these are automatic guns which the separatists decided yesterday, and they came out in their number, and they had to subdue everyone within that particular area to listen to that which they had to say. And I want us to look at it within the context of what happened yesterday. What could have been the contribution of the community within this area where they operated to this armed conflict? Firstly, the community is not involved. Now, if you were to go to Article 8 of the law governing war, the Rome Statutes, now it states that if you do not want to be considered someone involved in that armed conflict, do not by any means take part in the hostility. If you move further, it states that you do not compel people to take part in the hostility.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, you understand. Now, on the part of the government considers those who have been compelled by the non-state armed groups to sit in the house on Mondays and other days that they will call to be persons who are being civilly disobedient. So they consider them to be actually disobeying the law of the land as put by the state, that they shouldn't move out on Mondays. And the same community on that same Monday is caught when they try going out to carry out their daily activities by the separatists. And according to the separatists, this is a violation of an order. I don't know if I should put it order number 001 / so and so year 2016 or 2017 or what, that was actually given, which was on a certain famous ninth of a certain period where parents had wanted to send their kids to school, as the call came out that they should not send their children to school. This is the inception of the new school on Monday, no activities on Mondays. Now, so how do you expect the communities in this case? What should the community do? Do you expect the community to come out also and pick up guns? Of course. If you expect the community to come out and pick up guns, eventually you are saying
have
that
you pictured a scenario where the community, just like what Mr. Lone has been saying on this same platform, can you make reference to what sometimes you say, the community work hand in hand with military, the call, especially when these boys are in their community?
Now, let me
do you think that is workable?
Let me tell you this, right? Now, in an armed conflict, the law governing this, if you were to look at the Rome Statutes, it's very simple. If, for example, I decide to call on the military that the Amber Boys are coming, I'm involved in that conflict.
How so?
By the law, I'm involved in the conflict. Okay? I'm involved in the conflict. And what will happen is that when the Amber Boys come, this is what they will do. They will certainly consider me to be a military, what they call in their terminology, the black leg. Now, they will consider me to be someone who is involved in the conflict. But if I decide, for example, to sit when the parties are involved, let me give you a scenario. In 2018 and 2019, what I experienced is this. The military were chasing the non-state armed groups, and they got to a point where we sat for a meeting. I think we were discussing on how children should go to school within the My 16 community within that particular year. So when they came to where we had this meeting, the non-state armed groups, they had taken to their heels. So we were concentrating in our meeting. So when they came, a few persons who were afraid left. And when they met me and some others, they posed a question. Everyone who was here did run away. Why did you not run away? Then I said, why should I run away? Then they asked me a question. Where are the boys? Where are the Amber Boys? Then I said, who are the Amber Boys? I am not here for the Amber Boys. Before coming in here, I had a meeting. And because of the gunshot, the people decided and they took to their heels because they were afraid of losing their lives. So if I'm here, it's not because I am not afraid. But I want you to understand that as per what you took from the Cameroon people, you have the oath that you took to protect me, my property, and the territorial boundaries and the territorial integrity of the country. I am not a military. I am not a military. I'm a human rights defender and a civil society leader. And I do not carry arms. And I cannot take part in any of the hostility. The military, as per the Cameroon intelligence, as was told to the Cameroonian people by the Minister of Territorial Administration, we now have a pocket of resistance. And by their military and their security intels, they know where Sagat and his boys lives within the Buea or within Fako. They know the forest. They know where Sagat and his boys are. I am not the one to call the military and say, Amba is here.
Don't you think you're making careless assumptions?
No,
Very careless.
No.
Very careless. With no evidential proof.
I am not the one to say Amba is here.
So who is?
The military have patrol daily.
They cannot be.
But they don't
patrol everywhere.
We have to work
I am not the one
with the
to
ministry.
call
I'm coming to
the
you, Mr.
military
Lodell, as journalist.
and tell them that Amba is here. I want to give you a scenario. In my 16th community, there was a day, had it been the armor car was not actually taken note of by the inhabitants of that area. The military came, they went down to one of the areas in my 16, the fire shot, only God knows what they were shooting at. And thereafter, when they were leaving, if you saw them, you will not know the difference between they and the other boys. Beg for the armor car, which they boarded and they left that environment. So who do you identify? Today we see the people you call Amber Boys in military fatigue. To see someone who moves around here with a gun, you cannot determine if such a person is an Amber person or the military. If you look at the Cameroon military, especially in areas where they have their intels to determine who is an Amber within that particular area, they are not in their regular military fatigue. So you do not assume that everyone you see moving around, perhaps without a complete military uniform or outwear, is an Amber person.
Okay.
You may only know in a case that this was an Amber operation, such as when that young man on the video that played on your screen.
Okay, now I have a
professed
question
by
for you.
himself.
Sorry,
Yes.
I think I'll need to hush you here. So would you want to say that the military should leave parading the streets and now get into the bushes?
Let me tell you, let me give it to you. Perhaps those who are watching and those present in the studio, they know this. We have the police. Within the police, we have a particular set of police. They are charged with a certain environment within the town. If you go to the gendarme, we have the same. There are a certain group of gendarmes charged with the protection of the people and their property. Take note. If you move to the army, these are the forces we have. You move to the army, we have the different types of army. You have the commando, you have the amphibie, and the rest. And you go to the B.
We are talking about a nocturnal terrorist group.
I'm coming to you, Mr.
Regulate the
Lodell.
night.
I'm coming.
When you move to the B, you have the B and they know where they operate.
Okay, fine.
Now,
So what's the point?
I do not carry arms to go and start fighting with Amber. This is what is it's worth
Very
noting.
crucial.
I do not carry arms to start fighting Amber. I have my own duty to document the atrocities of Amber
And
and
do
to
what?
bring them and to seize the competent court to bring Amber to justice.
So is
I do not have arms.
don't you think
to go
it
to the
tallies?
bush.
Don't you think it tallies with you
No,
calling the military
no,
once they're
it
in
does
the area?
not tally because I have my own job I'm doing. My job is to document what Amber is doing, to report on the atrocities which the military does also, to report on the atrocities of Amber within the armed conflict, because it is an armed conflict and every armed conflict has a
Mr.
law.
Lucas, I asked you again. You said a while back, I asked you the same question, and you said you're going to be considered as a black leg. So don't you think it
No,
corroborates?
I didn't say I will be considered as a black leg.
Okay.
I said it will be that I'm taking part in hostility
Okay.
as per the law that governs conflict.
Okay, fine. Mr. Lionel, you derailed us a little. You talked about Boya welcoming relative peace because of the Bakure man. And then my question was, the Bakure man here in this case, is it one person, the giant, the fallen hero, Ikema Patrick, or the
The
indigenous?
people of Boya, I think he actually encouraged the people, enlighten their ignorance, because anybody using force to advance a political motive is a terrorist. At one point, the Amber Boy had legitimacy over the Anglophone Cameroonians. But when we established that the whole community was scam, the people that had distanced themselves from them, that's where the problem is coming from. They want to use a gun to enforce us, to identify with their separatist agenda. That's the problem we have now. So the community must work with the military to ensure that we are safe.
You saying that
all
the
of
whole
us living
thing,
in Boya are not safe anymore.
you saying, Mr. Lone, that the whole thing.
You just said Boya is a safe zone. You said Boya, life in Boya.
Yeah, Boya is a safe zone. Areas are not safe.
Now you're now
The
saying
outskirts,
Boya is.
like my 16
Now Boya
and the
is not safe.
Bitingi,
So when we find
these
ourselves,
areas are not safe.
I think it is not the issue for us trying to
Say where is safe.
identify. Now,
when the last time you heard a gunshot in Moliko,
now within the
Boya.
armed conflict.
Let
Now,
him land.
they will pray at the outskirts of Boya.
I have been in my
Let him
16
land.
for over 2 years counting. We have not had a single confrontation. We have not had atrocities being committed by the non-state armed groups. We have not had a confrontation between the non-state armed groups and Bolifamba. My 16 or my 16 Bolifamba is an outskirt community in the Boya subdivision.
So what are you saying?
What summarily, this is to Lionel, who claims that things like this are happening at the outskirts of Boya, and suddenly because it happens at the outskirts of Boya,
4 persons were shot in Moya 4 months ago. They lie.
that Boya is no longer safe. I think it should be
Cars were
established.
burned
Okay,
last
we
night
are
and one
in
was
that-
killed.
Conflict,
Let
and
me
in this
land.
armed conflict, you should know that it is an asymmetric war, and such a category of war has its own dynamics.
Okay.
And the dynamics summarily are: you see the hit and run, you see them trying to let the people know that they are in control. But this is what we must note: the fact that some of these things will happen at a certain moment, it doesn't mean that the conflict is over. So I may have to call on the people to be cautious. I may have to call on them to be
Let me
Maybe
give
calm.
you now. Excuse me.
Maybe calm.
I'm about to give you the pride of place. If you're responsible enough, just give us a synopsis of what you're saying. I think Dr. Busi has quite a number of questions to answer as far
All
as
the
psychologists.
Ambazonia atrocities in Boya are caused, or they all happen at the outstretches of the city. It's what happened in
Moya.
in my 16 when 2 guys were actually taken from the airport to see off a friend
Yeah.
was traveling to Canada.
Yeah, on a Monday.
was
The
not
Monday,
my 16, that was on my 15.
no, they were shot. That's the same thing.
You see
The
that-
same
you see
thing.
that area?
The same thing.
See that area.
3 guys were shot in Moya 4 months ago, and the taxi was burnt to ashes. And then here last night, over 4 vehicles were burned, a few persons injured, and one we recorded 1 dead. Still at Bitingi, outskirts of Boya. Understand? So I am calling on the mayor and the power that be to improve the security situation of these places, like the
Dr.
outskirts,
Busi.
like installing street lights and other stuff.
Okay,
Still level also
Dr.
because-
Busi, okay, we have touched municipal authorities and we have newly inaugurated senior divisional officers. And do you think that the predecessor of Ekema Patrick is not doing justice to the cause that he was trying to champion?
Yeah, thank you very much, madam. I want to say that my friend there, the journalist, is bringing a lot of cosmetic solutions here, because we are talking about a crisis that is very, very complex. A crisis that people are well armed. The Amber Boys are well armed. We don't know where they have smuggled their guns, and they have all sort of guns. They have weapons. And even though they are advocates abroad, they don't even hear from them. Sometimes even those at ground zero, they are becoming very, very dangerous, and they are causing a lot of calamities that sometimes when they cause their calamities and go psychologically, there's a defense mechanism in psychology we call displacement. When the military come now, the people living in that environment, they are the ones suffering the effect. They pour their anger now on the common man who was not part of the destruction.
Is that what they call Kale Kale?
Yes, a displacement is a defense mechanism.
Kale is a race.
It's not Kale Kale.
It's the same thing.
It's almost the same. It's a
Yeah.
kind of a defense mechanism that, like the Amber, they came yesterday. They caused their atrocity. They killed, which is so bad and demonic. They left, and then when the military will come, whatever they do
Yeah.
is a defense
Every young man
mechanism.
around that vicinity is
And that
injured.
aggression is not helping to solve the problem. Like my brother also said about street lights. I want to say that street lights is good.
Is that
because
cosmetic?
It's cosmetic. Street light is good because we need that for urbanization and
Is it for armed
development.
robbery?
And
was it
street
armed
light
robbers
is
who
good.
came and you want to light up
And
the place
then-
so everyone could see them?
And then for Mr. Nji Lucas, who said that his area is very safe. I want to say nowhere is
But
safe.
can you just respond to the question that he has?
I'll
thrown at
respond.
you,
I'll
Doctor?
respond. I want to say nowhere is safe. Nowhere is safe. Whether my 16 or my 15, my 14, we have to be prudent. I know of one of the chiefs there who have left his palace because of insecurity down there. Whether we like it or not, there's insecurity everywhere in Buea. What was the question, please?
He's talking about. Would you want to say?
What was the question?
No,
My question as moderator or his
Your
own?
question.
Yes, so I'm asking which is the cosmetic kind of solution, and by the way, do you think that the incumbent mayor is championing the right course and following the footsteps and strides of his predecessor? Is he doing justice to to the legacy that Ekema Patrick was trying to put in place?
I want to say that Ekema Patrick was an administrator that would go to the field, and it was that kind of, every administrator have their own leadership styles. And you see that with the leadership of style of Ekema Patrick, he was that kind of leader that was not afraid of anybody. And you will see that the present mayor now is trying to bring a bit of diplomacy. It brings a bit of diplomacy. But I want to look at it. You talk about the new SDO that was appointed. Will he be able to solve the problem? I say no. Even the governor here, no, because the governor has been there for a long time.
Don't you think people?
And though the governor has tried,
please,
though the governor has tried to reduce the crisis, we are not talking about Buea alone, because what happened here, what happened in Buea was
it's a small fraction.
It has been happening in places that many people have died, burning of houses and so on. And I want to say that, madam, if we want to solve the problem, I want to tell you that whether the regional president cannot solve the problem, the governor cannot solve the problem, the mayor cannot solve the problem.
Who then can?
They can just reduce the flame of the crisis. Who can solve this problem is Excellency President Paul Biya, the guarantor of the Constitution, the guarantor of peace. We have just one president in this country, and it is the President of the Republic, President Paul Biya, that can solve this problem. We know the government called for the major national dialogue some years back, and they brought forth,
it was a massive failure.
They brought forth the special status. And let me tell you, the special status is to solve the problem. If you ask me the modus of special status, I don't know. I don't understand, because we are talking. We're talking about structures that are there, but we're not seeing the structures. Madam, the structures are put to enforce decentralization.
Or the regional councils are begging.
They are there. Okay, madam, tell me one project that the regional council has done here in Buea.
But at least that is a
please.
But that is a strong.
Madam, I want to say that those are bodies. And
Dr.
let me tell you, I'll answer your question. The regional president is not autonomous, because he cannot take any decision without the government. But I want to tell you that if the crisis has to be solved, let's be honest. If President Paul Biya, His Excellency President Paul Biya, the guarantor of peace and the Constitution, call on an inclusive measure dialogue, some people will always say that
there was an attempt.
Please, an attempt is not enough. Please, we want peace. We don't want to see people dying every day. I think that if we have an inclusive dialogue, madam, Sisiko and Co, they are there. They grant amnesty to those who are in prison. They call those who are abroad. They sit together. They diagnose the problem of this country.
But is it going to be justifiable, Dr. Bushi?
It has happened, madam. It has.
Man of your repute to stand here.
Sometimes, madam, let me tell you, I will say that again and again. Sometimes, when you want peace, you don't bring ego, because what is helping not to solve the Anglophone crisis is the psychosocial ego. The government has ego. The Ambazonians has too much ego, extreme ego. But I want to say that if you look at the crisis, you will see that the ego of the government has been shifting. And the government is becoming moderate. But if we have to go extra mile, we need sustainable peace, as the journalist is saying. If we sit like this on a table, madam, without calling you president, we say this is the chairman of the committee, this is the secretary, these are all we sit on a round table, we are talking, my brothers. You say, no, Mr. Chairman, you ask, why have you been killing people? Why did you hold guns? You ask them, they are human beings, they will talk, they will outburst, everybody will outburst, because we are human beings. We know that the Anglophones have been marginalized, yes. We discuss on a discuss in a neutral ground we discuss where everybody can dialogue and say everything.
Well, this is not about the national dialogue, but yet again, I'm asking
please,
you: do you think an attempt was made, Dr.
That's what I'm saying. That
for an invitation, but then
Madam,
they
a major national dialogue was held. I applaud the government for that 100%. The government did that. But I ask you, in that communication of the dialogue, who were the representatives?
Did they show up?
Please,
Dr.
were they invited? Madam, let's be honest. Sisiko and Co, they are still in prison. I've been there in prison. I've spoken with them. I've been there in prison. I've spoken with them and Co. We want peace. If Sisiko and Co were there, let His Excellency President Paul Biya be there on the dialogue table, not the Prime Minister and head of government. Call some of the guys abroad. Call some of these guys who are holding guns, who are in the disarmament centers. They should sit together concretely, madam. After that dialogue, any decision that is taken, then anybody that holds gun and destabilize our communities again should be seen as a terrorist. So I want to say that.
So are you saying as of now there is no?
I want to say that in conflict resolution is a process.
Dr. Bush, I just
they are terrorists. They are terrorists because they are destroying a lot. Because I think that Cameroon is a country. It's a country with law. We have the rule of law in Cameroon. There are no two countries for now, except the day anything will happen. But for now, we know we have the Republic of Cameroon, and every government has the right to protect its own image and its territory. But I want to say that, madam, sometimes government also think about the suffering of the people. I want to bring the suffering of the people, the cry of the people is very important. Because if I want to tell you, madam, most of the top government officials, they have been losing the properties, but the common man has been losing human beings. I'm telling you the truth. If you look at the person who died yesterday,
that was my youngest relative.
Madam, I don't want to look at that. The pain is too much. The pain is too much. I want to say that, madam, if we see today, 2025 is coming. It's an electoral year again. I want to say that this war, if we're not careful, it can go 10 years again. And for us to solve this problem, I think that the people to solve this problem is this regime. Because the problem like this regime.
The point is,
yes.
President Paul Biya is called the wise man of Africa. He is a diplomatic giant. He knows exactly what it takes to contain the situation.
So with all the
but he's not willing. There was never a dialogue. It was just how can I put it? You brought foreign members of the CPDF system down. They dictate to the people what to say, and you put a dialogue.
Fine, we are not here about the measured dialogue. Now, has there been a situation, Mr. Lucas, before I get to the investigative journalist, wherein there is chaos, there is a gory incident in a particular place, just like what we had at Britain yesterday, and then the military goes there to extinguish the action at the instant? Has there ever been records like that?
No, the military may only go confrontational depending on the environment. For example, it would depend because we may have civilian casualties in such situations. I think what is most important is it is for the military to identify. Now, the military has several rules or several purposes, which include protecting the people and their property and the territorial integrity of the country and the territorial boundary of the country. So we mustn't have a situation where the Amber Boys are maybe carrying out their activities or their actions, and you find the military heading there to do something. The military always has its own way because before they want to make a move, they need to understand the security perimeters. They need to understand the security situation within the environment. Now, we must not forget that these guys, with the too many inlets into the area where the operation took place or the attack, we mustn't determine that, or we couldn't determine which inlet they did use. But what is most important is that during this period, the military also will mobilize itself. We saw the situation once some time ago where Shina, I think the brother of Shina Rambo, I think it should be Mbashi Clement alias No Pity. We have seen situation where Mbashi Clement attacked and destroyed armor cars belonging to the state of Cameroon. So it is not an issue for the military to move around that area. And I want to say this, talking about the military, we are realizing daily, especially in Buea, that if you move to most of the checkpoints, the military now have what I call their launch. Now we have a lot of launches where this military now do carry out checkpoint. If you go there, it is full or rather filled with drinks. The drinks sometimes to stupor. If you move around, you may want to carry out your own fact gathering. You
so they are not on their left.
They drink a lot. If you go to the areas where these guys operate, they have now moved into extortion. They do this a lot. You go there at every single point.
It's been from the very first day of the
It's unfortunate. It has worsened.
Yeah.
Every single stop, every single act there, it is centered on cash. You tell a man he stops a car, you do not bother.
So by saying this, what is a bundle that you bring by saying this?
Now, they'll stop your car. I'm coming. When they stop your car, they don't bother to perhaps check the car, what is in the car. As long as the driver is okay to have settled, you hear, Twasang Verose Ilela, Ilela. That is summarily what they do. They ask for car numbers that have registered as per what they have given them. They are not there to protect the people. It is why they will always be taken unaware. Like I said, now along the Buitinge road, if you have noticed, most of these young guys allegedly called scammers, you will notice that they are harassed by the military along that stretch of
everywhere in Buea.
Along that stretch of
police harassment, daily
offense on Mondays.
I think it's time for us to take a few reactions. Yes. We have a lot of people who are adding their voice to what Dr. Bushi is saying, to what Mr. Nji Lucas is saying, and the investigative journalists as well. But before we get to hear from you people watching and giving your beautiful comments, let us get onto a little interlude of a video that have been circulating and animating social media by our own Cameroon's Kado, who delights himself or prides himself as that, aka Moja Moja.
Yeah, na moja di talk udoka amba the dogo na the do kisu. Na amba the do kisu. Na no. Na amba the oki na miswa di talk. Na moja amba the dogo the oki people. Yeah. Na moja di talk udoka amba the dogo na the do kisu. Na amba the do kisu. Na no. Na amba the oki na miswa di talk. Na moja amba the dogo the oki people. Yeah. Na moja di talk udoka amba the dogo na the do kisu. Na amba the do kisu. Na no. Na amba the oki na miswa di talk. Na moja amba the dogo the oki people. Yeah. Na moja di talk udoka amba the dogo na the do kisu. Na amba the do kisu. Na no. Na amba the oki na miswa di talk. Na moja amba the dogo the oki people. Yeah. Na moja di talk udoka amba the dogo na the do kisu. Na amba the do kisu. Na no. Na amba the oki na miswa di talk. Na moja amba the dogo the oki people. Yeah. Na moja di talk we don't can amber the dog on. Now they don't kill so. Na amber the dog kill so. Na no. Na amber the okay. Na miss what the talk. Na moja amber the dog on. The okay people.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, that is the video from our own chief Moja Moja, as he's fondly called, and he takes delight and he's labeled himself as Cameroon's Kado, whatever that means. Mr. Lionel, you were one of the people who commented on the social media group, eulogizing the efforts of Moja Moja, saying that he is, the Lord of our time, and he's worked hand in hand with military to extinguish the separatist fighters. Is that going to be the case watching this video and after stretching this program this long?
Moja Moja is a brave, a gallant, and a very courageous soldier. He might have his own limitation and foibles, but I've always admired his courage. This is a very crucial time, and for a man to actually pick up the courage to put his own life on the line for the safety of others is something we should applaud. So Moja Moja is doing a great job. You can have brave military from the Anglophone extraction who pick up that bravery like Moja Moja.
But there have been times that you have, throw stones at him.
Yes, Moja Moja have been tribalistic. I would say easy without any fear. Moja Moja always go after Cameroonian from Bamenda, Northwest region. And you call them graffiti terrorist. At one point, I even knows the intention to sue him for his speech, though I was stopped by a senior colleague. That's the truth. But I cannot allow that to reduce my respect for the effort he's committing in fighting insurgency in our town.
So do you think that if the military and police, those in their military fatigue would work in synergy with him, there would have been relatively peace and a return of normalcy in the rest of the
Yeah, of course. And they cannot succeed without our active participation.
But I want to
we have to be actively involved with the civilians.
To understand, when we talk about working in synergy with him, he is not isolated. He is a soldier being paid by the Cameroonian people. He is being paid by taxpayers' money.
No, but the point is,
let him land without disruption, please. Yes, you can continue, Mr. Lucas.
Yeah, so I don't think that saying that if the military should work in synergy
with him,
it is indeed something very comfortable, because John Ewome, being the chief of Boassa, is a Cameroon soldier. As such, what many do not know is what barrack or what
he's answerable to,
contingent he is answerable to in terms of what he does, because he is almost everywhere. Howbeit, within the context of the ongoing armed conflict, I think a soldier, be they those in Boya or those in Fako, anywhere they find themselves, they have a singular or the same duty, which is or are to protect the people and their property.
But Moja have invested more effort in ensuring that terrorism is
and a single person with a group of persons who are yet to be identified by Cameroonians, if at all they are under the payroll of Cameroonians, as we know that John Ewome is under the payroll of Cameroonians. Of course, as you can see him on the screen, he is a B officer. He is a B officer.
So with that banner, don't you think,
Moja has made maximum effort
let me do my job, Lionel. Let me do my job, Lionel.
I am not speaking to maybe to downplay or to actually fuel.
Mr. Lucas, as moderator, permit me ask this question. So we all know that he is a man in uniform, and the other people who work with him, they have no identity as of now. Do you think he has an authority just considering that he is a uniform person to act the way he's doing?
A lot may be involved. In times of conflict, in most cases, we create militia groups with the same objective to see that the perhaps in this case, to put it in context, in this case, it suffices that other groups that may understand the operation of the non-state armed groups or the
But when other soldiers retire to the barrack, Moja is out there.
So
you don't measure him with an ordinary Cameroonian soldier.
As it is in many jobs, which of course within the context of the ongoing armed conflict, we have soldiers who are on the ground fighting to protect them.
But then
now John Ewome, as being paid by the Cameroonian people, took an oath to protect the people, their property.
So what are you saying? Are you leaning to
you use the word paid? How much they pay?
Excuse me, Lionel.
My focus is not the amount they receive. My focus is
people make all their mind to fight our fatherland. You say pay. How much they pay a soldier in Cameroon?
Journalist, let him.
My focus is the agreed amount which he got from the contract that was given to him as a soldier to protect the people, which every other soldier is out there doing. We have persons who perhaps are soldiers but do not actually go around as he does because they have different ways of fighting the non-state.
Mr. Luka, do you think that somebody watching will think you're sounding a little bit ambiguous at this point?
No,
because it's difficult to wrap a finger around what you're particularly saying.
No, what the point I'm making is very simple.
Okay.
John Ewome is not the only soldier on the ground.
Okay.
2, when you talked about, do you think if others could work in synergy with him, then I said no, that it isn't like he is working in isolation because he's a military. And every military in Cameroon works in synergy. They are a team. They are people who work together for the same purpose. As such, I don't think that John Ewome, alias Moja, and the chief of Boassa is working alone. He works as a Cameroon soldier. And to think that, like he was saying that, do I think that other soldiers will work like he does when they retire, perhaps during the day he goes out every single hour? I think he will give him command, because in the military people have command. And you may not know what particular job description was assigned him to do. So in this case, I know him as a soldier. Now, what is most important is we should not think that a single person is capable of combating.
No, but I think the Moja is a prominent elite using his experience as a soldier to fight for the common good of his people.
I am speaking about a soldier. I am not focusing on John Ewome as the person who is fighting the non-state armed groups. John Ewome is a Cameroon soldier that is established. Talking about fighting the non-state armed groups, he isn't fighting alone. And talking about fighting the non-state armed groups, a particular contingent, a particular force is not on the ground fighting.
Okay.
We have other forces.
You are civil society actor, and I've been wanting to, get free this question in my chest. John Ewome, aka Moja, should not take the spotlight on the show. It is not about him. We'll just passively, comment as somebody who elected the scene as a soldier. We have somebody, the one person who was reported dead. His wife was killed in the same crisis, I think 2 years ago or last year, and he's suffering and bearing the same fate. And it suffices to say that this is a relative, a close relative to the Bilingualism Commission boss. So I want to say that pain has greeted Yaoundé. Do you think this is a point where Yaoundé needs to, look into the perspective, or, try to put hands on deck even more deftly at this point?
If you follow the head of state speech in 2023 and his report and his projection for this year, he was very certain that those who are wreaking havoc should know that the Cameroon people and the soldier on the ground, they will do their job. And those who want to be free, they should take it upon themselves and get to leave the largesse which he had placed on the table for they to have life, if at all they desire to have life without necessarily being killed. So in this case, I do not think that because a relative to Peter Mafani Musonge, the head of the Bilingualism and the Multiculturalism Commission, it is going to give an automatic stop to this armed conflict. This is an armed conflict which is centered on identity. It is an armed conflict which is centered on, in quote, fighting to restore my sovereignty, and a lot is involved in it. And if we are saying, like I said yesterday, if we are saying that we want this thing to come to an end, now Dr. Bulsi paints a very wonderful picture that if we were to indeed carry out another research on this conflict, a lot of people have defected the Amber Boys already. And it means that if we go back to sit on the table and if we say we should allow democracy take the day, there is a possibility that a people would want us to go back to pre-1960, that's 1961, right up to 1972. There are people who wonder we should live between 1972 and 1984. There are others who wonder we should live between 1990 and 1996.
I don't think so.
So there are several persons with different opinions.
I don't think so, because
But there are
the Anglophone are suffocating under the weight of unbearable terrorism.
No, you don't get the point.
We want to be the Anglophone we were in before 2016.
Okay.
It's like somebody comes in here and lodges a complaint to you that the left extreme of this roof is leaking, and you brings a carpenter to repair the roof, and then you pull up the zincs and the whole roof is coming down. What do you do? You ask it to
can he
to
respond?
restore this. So we were
Yes.
suffering, yes, we were marginalized, yes, but the Amber Boys have become a huge nightmare.
Like I said, it's very simple. This conflict, we have shades of opinion. There are people who do not believe in what the separatists are saying and who are Anglophones.
Okay.
And there are Anglophones who are in total support of the separatists. And there are Anglophones who do not have the same opinion like Lionel does. That is to take us between 1996 and 2016. While there are Anglophones who says you should take us back to 1961, right up to 1972.
So they
Thank
are
you.
these controversies. We'll take on a few reactions. We have a cream of you out there who have been sending me a plethora of messages. This one says, Mary Benz says, can you imagine couples dying in this manner? Where God? Yeah, quite pathetic. Another one says, Madam the moderator, they could have even put Jay Clinton to play even a match at the African Cup of Nations. It could have pleased those voices in the bushes. This is from Mike C. Well, your thoughts, I guess. This one says, a good program, please continue. I am loving it. Thank you so much. Why do I have the feeling that this was a well orchestrated and targeted plan, and that name Amber Boy or separatists were the best option for the job? I might be wrong, but these Amber Boys where they just show up for some kind places seem fishy to me. I'm saluting Dr. Busi Enes in the studio from Yento Nganso. Thank you so much, Mr. Yento Nganso. This one says, so both parents were killed in the same struggle but different here. What becomes of their young children? Would you stop them from getting into the bushes? Oh, beautiful. Dr. Busi, do you have anything to...
I want to say that in self-determination, because there's what they call self-determination in granting sovereignty. But I think that what the Ambazonians have been doing as concerns self-determination, it has been so destructive, it has been so painful, like what happened yesterday, the killing of the person yesterday and the destruction of the cars. And I asked myself, when you destroy the cars, what have you gained? Nothing has ended. When you kill the person yesterday, nothing has ended. And they have to know that, because in what they call in psychology of religion, nobody will live forever. Whether you kill somebody today, tomorrow will be your own turn. Nobody will live forever. And the issue of they would have been educating people on an ideology. And I think that Now, if they are to sit on a dialogue table to discuss issues, they will be lacking because they have caused a lot of atrocity. Because if you look at the Anglophone crisis, it was really genuine, and we had a lot of issues to discuss on it. True. Because Mr. He has been talking about issue of faith. There are some people who were talking about federation, unity, sovereignty. That's what he said. And I want to say that if you look at what Luca was saying, was right. If they were to put a referendum today, the dynamics have changed. Many people will not even want to stay with people who forcefully put decisions, people who terrorize them, people who kill them. And I want to say that if we're talking of a democracy, I'm not seeing that kind of democracy among the Anglophones and the Ambazonians again. Because even within the Anglophones, madam, as they are talking of an Anglophone president today, you will still see how the Anglophones are very, very divided. I ask myself, can the Anglophones really come together as brothers and sisters? Because you cannot be fighting for self-determination. You target a gun and shoot their own blood brother. Because I will say that they are your own blood brother from the same culture.
That's why the struggle has
failed. That is the truth. From that dynamic, it has failed. Because if we are to sit on a platform, I will ask you, you have killed several of your brothers, you have destroyed them. And I want to say that many children today have lost their education. Many children today are frustrated. They are frustrated. Many children today, I want to say, I know of children in my family that I'm struggling that they can go back to school. It's difficult to revamp their mindset. Their mindset. Because Albert Einstein says that education is a tool that builds a mind. And you cannot build that tool in the bush. And I want to say that whether we like it or not, the pain that we put today, the mental flashback will follow us one day. Even if we drop our guns, that flashback, that reflection, that trauma, it will kill us psychologically. It will drain us. So the best way is to drop their guns. Whether we like it or not, let's drop our guns and advocate for ideologies. And let government also look for another solution.
Okay,
because
Dr.
we have to look for a different strategy.
I like the young man in the studio with the hat. His name is Dr. Busi, so you're going to give some respect to his name. I thought cleansing was done in Boya and that no attack will forever happen, or maybe I'm mistaken. That was quite very funny. But yeah, true. We have a lot of traditional authorities, Ms. Angie Lucas, and even I know I can vouch for your spiritual background. What has been the role of the church? We've seen cultural actors like the Moja himself 2 years ago, and even last year, they came to champion a cleansing crusade. And how far has this gone? What's the church doing? Do you think that these parties are resting on their laurels? I mean, speaking like somebody who has
the church
a fine face.
The church is not there to tell people to kill, and the church is there to preach the love of Christ to people. And the church does not compel people to believe and to accept the love of Christ. So to an extent, the people take their decision whether to accept the love of Christ or not, which in most cases, as we must have noticed, you have persons who have decided not to accept the love of Christ. And that is why the sacrosanctity of life is basically being dumped into maybe the ocean by those who are involved in taking the lives of others. I don't think that the church has failed in any time within the context of the crisis or the ongoing armed conflict. The church is doing significantly. The aspect of whether some people did cleansing or some people did not do cleansing, we are not going to roll out the fact that we have persons who come out to say we are cleaning this environment with hands that are soiled. Every soiled hands, the God you see have the way they operate. For those who do not believe in Christ, the gods you see, they have the way they operate. If your hands are indeed soiled, when you come out to place them, they see something else while you're presenting to them something else.
Okay.
It's the same thing with Christ. If you have dirty hands, when you are raising them up, he looks at it better than the person who is seeing your hands to be clean. So I don't think it is not the issue of us thinking that the degree at which persons have said we have cleansed this land. We have seen in cases where some people went down to their village for the very first time after about 6 years or so, and they carried out some ritual acts and performed some rituals, and thereafter I expected that everything would be okay. But a few days later, we noticed that some persons were still killed within those areas. It is because the way we do it, we don't do it as the people who did it. The people who instituted this, they would do it with clean hands.
Okay, we are battling with time. A few other reactions we have. Thank you all so much for following the program. If we are unable to take, quite a number of reactions, then we are going to promise that in our next episode, we are going to be reading them out and, developing them as topics. This one says, I totally agree with what Dr. Dr. Ernest is his name. Life does not have part two, so better respect it and be safe. Do not fight what you never started, civilians. Stay at home and be safe. Lionel, do you think this is an attack to what you've been saying all through?
How long are we gonna stay at home?
Okay, fine.
Madam, please let me answer that. Or you want to continue?
No.
Please? I want to say that precautions are very, very important in life, whether we like it or not. I want to say that in times like this, moments like this are not the same. It's not like a normal time that we used to live. It's not like before 2016. The times have changed, the dynamics have changed, the era have changed. And we have some guys who are holding guns, we don't know them. And we think that our state machineries have been trying their best, especially the state security, to protect us. And if you look at the population of the security, they cannot be everywhere they cannot be at all point in time. And I want to say that though we need, because as human beings also, we need to sustain our life. We need food on our table. We need to pay our bills and so on. It's not easy. But we need to be prudent. We need to know where we go to. We need not to send our children to hawk and sell on a Monday, knowing that the times are difficult and they'll be coming back late at night. Even if we were to go to the market, we need to time ourselves.
For how long?
We should not keep late nights. So what I'm saying that how long question now is good. But I want to ask, if we are brave, the people have been very resilient. We have had a lot of fortitude to stand strong mentally. We have had a lot of physical resilience, psychological resilience, emotional resilience, because of all the tortures, the killings, the fear, like the one of yesterday. People still came out today because they were psychosocially strong to go out on their daily basis. But I want to say that we can reduce our meetings, because if you see, many people have put meetings on Mondays, and many people are going out on Mondays. We can reduce the meetings, and we also know the timing. You are going out, you come back early. Don't go and you're coming back late.
Talking about timing, do you know when?
No, but I'm saying that, Madam, mostly. Let's be honest, some of the happenings, if it's during the day, you can know where to run to and what to do. But at night, like what happened yesterday at night, Madam, you find yourself helpless. So helplessness is something that can come at any time. But I want to say that, Madam, it can happen. But I want to say that during the day, you are more, at least it's better during the day than at night. I want to say that let's not sit there and encourage people, denizens, to go out at night, moving up, doing what at night. We have to be prudent. Self-defense is still very, very important. I'm still talking of the youthful population who are having a lot of youthful exuberance. Our youthful exuberance, we can control it. And I want to say that we need to control it, and we need to be disciplined. Self-discipline is very, very important sometimes in life. I want to say that self-discipline is very, very important. We are not encouraging or promoting ghost down, but we need to stay safe, please.
This one says, I beg, make una respect ghost town. Okay, respect ghost town. You have 6 more days in a week to enjoy. This is from May Valentine. Wait till they do for streets for normal ghost town. They massa. Some people too stubborn.
Ambazonia sympathizer.
Daryl Chick. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Anybody who issues a statement is an Ambazonia sympathizer.
Many people do not understand what revolution can cause. Pains, destruction, to name a few. Please respect certain instructions and be safe. I rest my case. I'm really sad about this continuous killing of innocent people by these same brothers of ours. But one of your guests in his point says the fellow people respect their laws like that of Monday indoors, because when you listen to those big fishes who tell you people to open activities on Monday, it's your lives that are being sacrificed. They are being guarded by military. Please respect Mondays for your own lives. When will this killing stop? Nice program from Divine Razi. Divine Razi, thank you so much. Anglophones giving Anglophones hard times to prove a point. How this affect Francophones or Bia? French folks keep saying we're killing ourselves in the name of freedom. Think about it. I am Palmer John from Muya. Thank you for the program, Madame the Moderator. Thank you too for watching, and the reactions keep coming. Mr. Lucas, at this point, picking from all the reactions, do you think you need to add your voice and be persistent on saying a particular thing?
No, it's very simple. We are not part of those who are carrying arms. We should be careful with the way we go about. The non-state armed groups should respect the conventions governing armed conflict. They have every right to respect it. They shouldn't forget that the most powerful persons who ever lived in a wartime, they had to answer questions in the ICJ and the ICC. And in most cases, these same persons do not live in the same town or the country where they are. And this is why we have persons who have been prosecuted by the ICC, and they are indeed paying for what they did to a people. If I want to name them here, it is inexhaustive. So what you need to notice is you have a cause you're championing. You have a cause, and your cause has a rule. And if for some reason you find that people go out daily, remember that we live in an area where people pay their bills daily. And it depends on their outing on that day for they to manage themselves back at home. So no matter what we think, no matter what we say, what is most important is you have to respect the rules on the ground. But those who put these rules, those who put these rules should bear in mind that there will be a time, because we are documenting the violation. Now, the right, the freedom of movement which the people have to enjoy is being hijacked. And we must not refuse the fact that this is known. Now, as concerning whether you should move or not, it's very simple. You have to judge your security. And in this case, you should know by now that there are certain places which are not pretty safe on certain days. For example, no car leaves my 17th to Kumba. No car leaves my 17th to Muyuka. No car leaves my 17th to Ekuna on Mondays. No matter the urgency, no matter what. Tundong Shambalin, the SDO for Meme, I don't think, I've never seen him leaving Kumba and coming to Boya on Mondays. Though he has the armor cars at his disposal. The confrontation sometimes, like we did see the wife of the person who was murdered in cold blood yesterday, who was killed in the Northwest region, particularly in Bamenda.
And she was a journalist. That
was some time ago. She was a journalist. She was killed. And yesterday it was the husband. And they were attacked in their armor car. So it is to let us know that at certain points, when it's an armed conflict, the people have already taken a particular day, which was not done in consonance with you. They did it because they wanted you to stay where they want you to stay.
Fine, without
let me say something, madam. There's something I have to say that is very important for the common man, because I always feel that the common man is very, very vulnerable, whether I like it or not, because the vulnerability we can see yesterday. Because somebody will be going out, like the person that was going out yesterday was going back home. We don't know whether home or where. The person is vulnerable, and the common man is very vulnerable as for now. But I want to say that if you see the military people, if a military tries to go now to Kumba, they don't just go like that. They have a lot of intelligence. They have a lot of intelligence. They communicate, and they have a lot of technologies. That their technologies are being used to see that whether the airspace is free, to see that their zones are free. But with the common man, we don't have all these technologies. If I'm to go to Munyana, I don't have any technology to know whether who is there at what point in time. So the only thing I have to say that, the military, they cannot be everywhere at all point in time. And the military have their machineries, they have their armored cars, they have everything as state military. And I want to say that you or us, the common people, we are left behind. We are very, very vulnerable in this crisis. And even the military, most of them have suffered because some have died, some have lost their lives, and they're human beings too. And I want to say that we just have to be careful in times like this. As a therapist, I'll tell you that we just have to be careful in times like this. Our children who their parents are not yet in Boyard, who are students, I'm telling my students that we have to be prudent. You have to know that Mondays are days that are complex. We should mind our kind of activities on Monday. Though I go out on Monday, but we should know where we go to, at what point, and we should know the timing. It is very, very important. Self-defense is very, very important. We should keep away from late nights. But sometimes too, these guys too come to our homes. But we have to be protective. We have to be resilient. We should not give up. We should keep coping. And we should call on government for lasting solution, because the government still have the yam and the knife to solve the crisis.
Thank you so much. We are going to be going to your final word, Mr. Lionel Ikombi. But before then, this one says, Moja Moja has always been a hero. It's just unfortunate that that man cannot be everywhere at the same time. If not, no Amber can settle in Fako. I hail his courage. Thank you so much. This is from Daima. Your last words. We are kissing this program a goodbye, and many have actually received the warmth of our speech. What do you have to say to salute them, your final goodbye?
It's rather pity that the paradise to Amazonia we have been expecting to embrace has turned out to be our greatest nightmare. So I wish to crave the indulgence of Anglophone Cameroonians to perhaps work with the military to ensure that we are safe. Because every one of us living in the English extraction of Cameroon, we are all vulnerable to the Amazonian terrorism. And we have to work hand in glove with the military to ensure that we are safe, because it's a very worrisome situation. The guy who died yesterday could be me, could be you. You never can tell who's going to be the next victim. So we have to sit up as a community to ensure that this insurgency and terrorism in our land is dismantled. We have a very invaluable role to play in putting a cessation to this terrorism. We have been suffocating under its effect for the past 7 years.
Thank you so much. That is Mr. Ikombi Lionel, the one with a fine pen and an investigative journalist. Thank you so much for coming to the program. Dr. Busi, you are a psychologist. We didn't have, time in our hands and on the table to actually talk on the psychosocial effect, but you did the program justice by enumerating quite a few. What would you have to say to those who are watching, those who have been affected psychologically in one way or the other, including myself here,
Yes, many people have been affected by the war, whether directly or indirectly. And most people in our localities, whether in rural areas or in urban centers, they have been brutalized, they have lost their family loved ones, like the person yesterday, and properties. Psychologically, I want us to practice mindfulness, and I think that mindfulness will help us. Sometimes we need a peaceful mind, and we need to reflect and stop thinking about the past and thinking about the present. And we need a lot of talk therapy. People can counsel us, and counseling is very, very important now. And we need to spend time with our loved ones, those who think that can heal us. And I think that at this point in time, talk therapy is very important. Mindfulness is very important. There are many therapies that I can bring, but we don't have time. But I think that now we need to have that mental resilience, mental fortitude. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. We have hope that this thing will end, and it will someday end. We should not give up. We should not never give up, and we should continue to be happy. We should try to be. Happiness is very important. Self-happiness is very important. We should try to do things that will make us happy and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you. Happiness is very, very important. In the same vein of mental resilience and happiness, Mr. Angie Lucas, a member of the civil society community who is here, what is going to be your final word for today?
All the people need to do is to stay away from harm's way. They are not the military. They should know when and how to carry out whatever they have to do.
Thank you so much. It has been an amazing time. 2 hours extensively in the company of Lionel, Miss Angie Lucas here, and Dr. Busi Enes. It's always a time for me as moderator to always pick my pen and paper and to jot down some certain things that is going to be very, very industrious in my well-being as a political, moderator of the program matters. See you next time, and until then, be in the company of good health and mindfulness. Bye bye.